So, good afternoon everyone. Shall we now start the next step, a group discussion conducted by Dr. Abesiri, Venerable Panjasara Thera and myself. The topic, as we already know, is pilgrimage in Buddhism. I'm not going to say much, I will simply give an introduction. The bigger part would be this, explained by Venerable Panjasara and Dr. Abesiri, the most important part. I'm simply giving an introduction. And there are four great pilgrimage sites that I am not going to talk about. That is the essence of this discussion. It's up to Dr. Abesiri and Venerable Panjasara. I'm not going to touch on that. Instead, I would like to say one thing, the psychology of pilgrimage. It's not because I'm a psychologist, but I love the psychological approach to pilgrimage. A little talk. Like 10 days ago, I think a couple of days ago, I was in Bodhi Gaya during my visit to His Holiness Dalai Lama. I had an appointment with him in Himachal Pradesh. When I came down to Delhi, I thought I should fly down to Gaya. It was just a 2-hour flying, hour and a half flying hours down to Bodhi Gaya airport from Delhi. So that during my stay, 2-night stay in Delhi, I got a friend who is a driver, and he took me around different places. I really wanted to climb Dungeshwari cave. Dungeshwari cave is believed to be the place where ascetic Siddhartha did 6 years of self-mortification, Dukkaracharya. As we approached the place, I was there in 2009, January 2009 and December 2009 and 8 and January 2009, almost 2 months. So I had forgotten the place. So this time I went there, I noticed that, there were so many people looking for customers. Those service, they were having palanquins. You can, in case you find it difficult to climb the mountain, they will put you in a palanquin and they will carry it up to the mountain. So, I had some foot pain. Immediately, when some children approached me, I made a good pupil there to one Indian boy, and he communicates with me now, 13-year-old boy. And he is the one he did everything possible to impress me. I said, I will give you money later, I won't buy anything from you. I only got his stick. He offered me a stick to climb. There were so many people from different countries, and they were lining up to get into a palanquin, and so that the people would take them up to the mountain, to the hilltop. Even though I had foot pain, I immediately, when they suggested that I get into a palanquin so that it would be an easy pilgrimage, I never wanted that. I refused that. Because I knew the psychology of pilgrim. The more difficult it is to make, the pilgrim is more sacred. Yes. So I never wanted to go in the palanquin, go up the mountain in a palanquin. Instead, I said, no, I will give you the money later, but don't bother me, or you can follow me. So the little boy came with me all the way to the mountain. And he offered me a stick anyway. I wanted a stick, walking stick. So, and there when we climbed up to the Dungeshwari cave, we meditated inside the cave. When I came down, and there were some people, I think they were from a group of people from Thailand or Southeast Asia somewhere. And so I was a little tired, but at the same time I was so happy. I was sweating so much. I was tired, but at the same time I felt a kind of relief within myself. I was so happy that I made it to the mountain on foot, rather than in the palanquin. So what happens was, there's an interesting dialogue. I didn't eavesdrop. I overheard. a conversation between two people. So that there are actually two people. That somebody has said, you know what? If you go on a pilgrimage, no matter how difficult it is, you have to avoid using. You have to stop looking for an easier way to make it. So that then one man opened up and said, yeah, that's right, because you know what, I went there by this palanquin, but I didn't feel like doing anything. And where the other two people who had climbed the mountain on foot, they said that's why. So that's the kind of motivation, the kind of relief that we have, you don't have. And then what happens was that man, he was sitting on a bench. He stood up, grabbed a stick from that boy, gave him 100 rupees, and then didn't say a word. He started climbing again. He wanted to do that, and then it was marvelous that he made it much quicker. He was 68, close to 70. He made it, where the other two were in their late 80s. That's where the conversation was among the conversation between those three people. So that's why then he was younger to the other two people who performed the pilgrimage on foot, where the younger one, he's being the youngest of the group, he made it by the palanquin. So that's why he felt kind of shame something, and then he made it. So on our way, when we came back to Nalanda, and we met the group again. And so they were there happily, and then one man approached. We saw you there, and they recognized me. And then somehow I said that, and then one man opened up and said that, you know what, you probably you might have noticed that this our friend, he climbed the mountain twice. And then all of them could speak English, and so the very person who made it twice, and he came to me and he explained to me. He said that I feel kind of ashamed, and I came all the way from Thailand, but I wanted to. When I looked up and I see the hilltop, I felt like I discouraged myself to climb it on foot. Instead, I wanted to go by palanquin, so that's why I went. But actually, I went there. I didn't meditate properly because I wasn't tired. Getting tired is a must to meditate on a hilltop. It's very important. And then you might have seen the Tibetan do, and they do the most difficult pilgrimage. So that they call this what's called what is it, Navanga Bandhana something.
No.
Yeah, the doctor will explain that later. There are different types of pilgrimage that people perform.
Worship.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So now that being said, and there are, in Sri Lanka also different, and then in India also I have seen that while you could climb to a hilltop, always pilgrim sites are basically located, sacred places are located in mountains. There are two reasons. One is it is away from the human touch. So that, and when the sacred place is located on a hilltop, and then so the access is not easy. The first reason is that it remains large, relatively much less of a human touch. The second thing is, so there's you can actually perform the pilgrimage and you feel it when you climb the mountain. There's another supernatural reason too. Another spiritual, supernatural reason. The reason is that the higher the place, devas there will be more devas, divine beings arriving there for the pilgrimage. That is the supernatural reason. I don't think about I never consider supernatural reason. In my case, I've seen that pilgrimage site is always, it's better to be in a difficult place. The more difficult it is, it becomes more sacred. Where? It becomes sacred where? In the pilgrim's heart. And that being said, so that is an introduction to this one. Then I will pass the microphone to Venerable Panyasa and Dr. Abesiri. They will give you the actual insights into the importance of pilgrimage. I haven't said anything. I said nothing. Okay.
Okay, good afternoon everybody. Today, now we are talking about pilgrimage in Buddhism. So you know, Dr. Upanand Bhante, actually, he explained about the pilgrimage, and now I'm going to just short explanation on pilgrimage. So, actually we know pilgrimage in Buddhism, actually. So, we know about Buddhism, but it is depends on culturally, actually. So, it is based on culturally, depends. So, when we talk about pilgrimage, so as Buddhist, so we know there are four major centers, major types. So we should pilgrimage. So you know, the first one is Lumbini, where the Buddha's birth, and the second one is Bodhi Gaya, and the third one is Varanasi, Isipatana, and the fourth one is Kushinara. Yes, these four major sites. So, as Buddhists, we must pilgrimage. Yes, yeah. So, when you talk about non-Buddhist, okay, so they also pilgrimage on these sites. So when you talk about these sites, so now I'm going to talk how can we achieve our main goal. How can we achieve our main goal? So, when we are on pilgrimage, is that wrong way or is that right way? So we have to think about that. Okay, normally, actually I'm from Nepal, so I saw a lot of peoples who came in Lumbini. So sometimes there was a secretary, I think, secretary who lived in Lumbini. One day he asked me about, okay, who are they? So I said they're from Sri Lanka. And how you know? He asked me, how you know? So I told him, so I know, so I was in Sri Lanka, I have been in Sri Lanka, so I know them. So he said me about Sri Lankan people, okay? Yeah, actually, when Thai people and Indian people, okay, when they came to Lumbini, so he said about their behavior actually. Yeah, so we know how can we, what's the way to worship? Yeah, we know. So normally we say Panchanga Vandana. Yeah, Panchanga Vandana. This is the most important thing, Panchanga Vandana. In not Theravada, in Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, actually most of the Mahayanism people, so they used, I think, 9 types of worship, or maybe not Panchanga Vandana. So most of the Theravada people, devotees, use Panchanga Vandana. But at that time, that secretary said me, when Thai people worship with Panchanga Vandana, and when Indian people worship with Panchanga Vandana, so why not the Sri Lankan people, they did not Panchanga Vandana? So this is the most important things to talk. And actually, what is the way, right way to worship those sites when we in pilgrimage? And so most of the people actually, so not for you actually, so this is for new generation. Yeah, new generation. We should talk about this topic, pilgrimage in Buddhism. We should talk about this for new generation, not for you actually. You know what should you do, yeah, what should not you do. So new people actually they don't know. Yeah, actually we know about trip. So normally family trip, yeah, and education trip. So normally, yeah, this is, so we call religious trip. So when we go to religious trip, we should forget about all those trips. Yeah. So family trip, when we go to family trip, actually we forget about friends trip. Yeah. Like that. So when we go to religious trip, it means pilgrimage in some central. So we should know what are the ways. Yeah, what are the ways we should follow? Yeah, you know, normally tradition in Sri Lanka we have leader. Yes, yeah, we have leader. So we follow leader. Yes. So, but sometimes we don't follow the leaders. Yeah. So normally when we go religious trip on somewhere, so we have actual leaders. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you about so wrong way, what is the wrong way and what is the right way. Yeah, but the first thing is you should know the way. So when we go to sometimes like this temple, okay, so like example, this is also so pilgrimage. Yes, you came here. So sometimes Thai people, yeah, Thai people, maybe someone, local people, yeah, come to this temple and see, yeah, shrine room, hall, and somewhere. And he thought, so he thinks about this place, yeah, about the shrine room. And his thoughts, what kind of his thoughts? So that thought should be good. Yeah, that thought should be good. Yeah. So when we go any sites, any religious sites, first of all we should have good thoughts. Yeah, good thoughts. So normally mind, word, yeah, and body we should control. So without control these three parts, so seeing that sight actually meaningless. Yeah. So that is why I want to tell you, if you want to go somewhere, yeah, if you want to go somewhere, at least you have to control these three parts: mind, body, and your mouth, speech. So later I will explain about something. So now I am going to give a chance to Dr. Pali to say something.
Thank you, Bhante. The first mention in the Tripitaka about pilgrimage is found in Mahaparinibbana Sutta. When Buddha was about to pass away, he told Ananda, there are these 4 places which are named in Pali as Sannejaniya Sthana, that a faithful follower of Buddha should visit. And that will make him develop what is called Samvega. It's translated as emotion. Actually, Samvega is not emotion. Samvega is urgency, and urgency will need to find release from this suffering. That will, when you visit these places and this is where Prince Siddhartha was born, this is where he became enlightened, this is where he preached the first sermon, and this is where he passed away. And with that you develop the thought, or he made all these places sacred because he attained enlightenment and taught the Dhamma to people so that they can follow him and attain enlightenment. That is Sangha. But when we go, very often what happens is we don't develop Sangha. What we develop is what we call empathy. We feel sad, we are happy that Prince was born, we are happy that he became enlightened, we are very happy that he preached, and so that we know the Dhamma. And then unfortunately, when you go to the last one, Kusinara, we feel very sad. One thing I can assure you, all Sri Lankans who go there, they cry. But when you see Japanese and other people, they don't. Why? The reason is, we think of Parinibbana, the last item before attaining final Nibbana. But in their Mahayana thing, they became what is called Dharmakaya. And they live in Sukhavati. They exist in Sukhavati and they come back as Nirmanakaya. So they haven't attained Parinibbana at Kusinara. So there is nothing for them to be sad. So it's a sort of change of idea about Nibbana and enlightened Buddha. So this is one of the things. And then when you think about it, even when you go and see somebody known to us dead, or we visit for a funeral, we feel empathy, don't we? The That is because in our brains there are what are called mirror neurons. When somebody die or somebody in unhappy circumstances, the mirror neurons start working. And then we simulate that suffering that somebody has undergone ourselves. That is the reason why we cry. But Buddha never advised that. Buddha never advised empathy. Buddha advised compassion and other kinds. What Buddha advised is that you must develop this life. People are born, they achieve their whatever it is, and then they die. This is samsaric, the impermanence, and this is the samsaric cycle. And we are happy that Buddha has reached the end of the samsaric cycle. And we must try to follow him and get through to that place. And that is the idea. But whatever it is, I have no other things I notice is that when you go as a group, very rarely you get any enmity, fighting, bitterness or anything. Because we all have this once in a lifetime achievement. And that itself, during those 10 or 12 days, whatever it is, our minds are very much pure. So we are developing our mind by doing a pilgrimage. And we are very happy that we have done that. I remember now when I was small, my grandparents, when they went on a pilgrimage, they wrote it down in a book, everything. And when they came back, all the people came in the village to listen to the recitation of how they went from this to that. It was very entertaining till about 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night. They will recite. Tea is served, sweets are served, and they say sadhu, sadhu, and they themselves become pure in their mind. So this is how it sort of progresses in the community. Now in other religions, if you have visited the sacred place, you are assured of a place when you die. For example, if you go to Mecca, you become al-Hajj, you will always be welcome to the paradise. Similarly, even the Christians, when they go to Bethlehem or whatever it is, they feel that God will pardon their sins because they have visited this place. In our case, there is no one who can pardon our sins. We have to work it out ourselves. The way to work it out is to develop our mind, make it pure, and think of it. Now, for instance, I just Googled it, I think. Now, Buddha, when he became enlightened and wanted to preach his first sermon, he looked in with his divine eye and found that the most fitting people were the 5 monks. And then they were in what's called Isipatana in Megadai. That is 152 miles from Bodhi Gaya.
Yes, right.
And he walked all the way in 1 week because he spent 7 weeks near the Bodhi Tree, and in the 8th week he had to go and preach. See what a lot of sacrifice he did. He didn't wait for people to come to him. He went, and every year he went around. For example, from Rajagaha to the Savatthi is over 200 miles. And even on the last day, he walked almost about 1/3 of that distance from Pava to Kusinara. And if you read that Parinibbana Sutra, you can't stop crying because he was so ill, he was feeling very tired, and at one stage he said, I can't go anymore. Can you put a rope down for me to sit down? And then said, Ananda, find me some water for heaven's sake. Ananda said, look at that river, it is all muddy. How can you drink that water? He said, no, I don't mind, get me some water. And then after 3 times he asked for water, he had to go and get water. They say that by miracle, by that time the water was pure. And then he said when he saw the next one, he said, now I am so tired and sweaty, I want to have a bath in the river. When he had a bath, and then he robed himself, and then after teaching the Salvana, he said, now put a robe across these 2 trees and lay down. And even in the last moment, when was it Subhadra or somebody?
Subhadra.
When Subhadra came and said, I want to see and learn from something, the Ananda and others said, don't go, he's not very well, he's almost passing away. He said, no. Then he heard this, and then he called Ananda and said, let him through. And he taught some Dhamma, and he became a priest, and he became enlightened. And then almost before the last moment, he looked around and said, where is Ananda? Then others said, Bhante, he is behind the tree crying. Now see, Ananda has attained Sotapatti. He couldn't do Samvega. He was sorry, he was crying. It's like Visakha went crying to Buddha when her granddaughter died. So even Sotapatti means sometimes you can't do this Samvega thing. You feel empathy and you feel sad and very sorry. So he had to call Ananda and said, why are you crying, Ananda? I have always told you that everything is impermanent. Even my body is now like an old cart. I am about to pass away, and you must always think about my teaching and keep the teaching as your support or whatever, guidance, and try to be enlightened. It's a very, very sad part of that story, Mahaparinibbana Sutta. And one more thing I want to say is that this Mahaparinibbana Sutta, our version only has this pilgrimage part. The Sanskrit and the Chinese translation, they have dropped it. Because their version is that Buddha didn't attain Parinibbana. And although they go for pilgrimage, they don't have that particular passage is not there. Because it suddenly came to me, my mind now.
Yeah, they removed that.
Huh? They removed that, yeah. But what they say is that, but they say a different story. They say that we have added it later on.
No, they say most of the things we added later.
Yeah. This is the thing. But what happens is our Tripitaka was written even before Jesus. And their sutras were written in 1st and 2nd and 3rd centuries. So I don't know what is true and whatever it is.
It's a political thing.
Yeah. Whatever it is, pilgrimage is a good thing. And there is nothing to say that you must do it. If you are not able to do it, if you don't have the capacity to go, whatever it is, it's all right. And nowadays, you can, anytime you on the YouTube, you can watch a pilgrimage to India, North India. And so watch it and then purify your mind. If you want to be sad, you can be sad and cry. Whatever it is, I must say that statue at Kusinara is really, really, really human-like statue. When you see it, you really can't cry. The thing is, everything is covered, so you can't see that the big toes are not together like sleeping. There, and even his statue there are several different things. There is no rays coming from his head like that. They say 9 differences between a sleeping Buddha statue and the Parinibbana statue. So I think time is passing. Anyone want to discuss? And you want to say something?
No, it's awesome. Pilgrimage is twofold. Pilgrimage for a spiritual or transcendental purpose, and pilgrimage for a worldly purpose. Even this time at Bodhi Gaya, and spoke to some security people, and there were so many people lining up not to meditate, but to hang a wish flag. So in different languages, in English, Thai, Sri Lankan, I read Sri Lankan ones, Punchi Putari Aparaduruveva. May Buddha remove all the negativities from my little son's life. It's said, and there are a lot of things. And also when it comes to pilgrimage, most of the time a pilgrimage performed for a worldly purpose would take a festive form. A lot of drum beating, processions, hanging flags and offerings, a lot of things. Whereas those who do a pilgrimage for a spiritual purpose, they would simply choose a quiet corner place and they would sit quiet and they would meditate. These two types of pilgrims I have always seen that. So those who go to a pilgrim site for a worldly purpose, right? I'm not offending anyone, I'm just saying this. They make noise. Whereas those who go for a spiritual purpose, they sit quiet and meditate. Nothing wrong with that. I just want to share that there are two types of pilgrimage. Of the pilgrimage for two different purposes. Sometimes you might have noticed that sometimes when you go to after climbing, let's say especially when you go to a hilltop pilgrim site at a temple. People get there and some people do a lot of chanting, where some only want to sit quiet and meditate. I have seen sometimes, it happens in all the religions, there can be a clash between those who want to do hymns or chants and between those who want to do silent meditation. Right? But nothing wrong with the pilgrim for a worldly purpose. But when it comes to Buddhist idea of pilgrimage, as Dr. Abesiri explained that it is to have some samvega. So then I did Sanghamitta meditation in Dungeshwari and Bodhi Gaya. In Bodhi Gaya that evening there were so many people crowded. I had a lot of difficulty. I found a corner, on the concrete bench. So I meditated maybe 10 minutes, and at the same time I heard, as I had my eyes closed, there were people chanting in Pali, in Tibetan, and also in Thai language, in different translations, so much. But one thing I felt, whichever the language they did their chantings, those chantings created a lot of vibrations. Good vibes. That's another thing when it comes to pilgrim site. People go to a pilgrim site to experience the vibes. I really noticed that when I went to Situlpawwa in southern Sri Lanka, Chittalapabbata, it is one of the thousands of years long pilgrim site. Now it is within the Yala National Park. And then once I went with a group of Americans. That was way back in 2009. It is with the same people that I went to India. When I went to Situlpawwa, in Pali called Chittalapabbata. Chittalapabbata is such that there are so many thousands of arhats, and their vibes are still there. When I sit on a little hilltop, on a rock, I could go to Samadhi very quick, real quick. A lot of people have told me that you could see the vibes. There are so many vibes left by spiritual people. That's one thing that people expect. It's nothing wrong with having a worldly purpose, but it would be better. In addition to whatever the worldly purpose that you are going on a pilgrimage, it's always good to meditate. It is the silent meditation that really gives you a sense of being there. Okay? So However, there are so many places nowadays all over the world. When a pilgrim site becomes popular, you need so much noise, and it basically happens in now every village temple has a Bodhi Tree in Sri Lanka, and wherever, not only in temple, wherever a Bodhi Tree, and that place becomes a pilgrim site. When you go to, and there are two, again, especially by saying I'll pass the micro venerable Panyasara. So now going along the two types of pilgrimages, worldly purpose, pilgrimage for worldly purposes, and pilgrimage for transcendent or lokuttara or spiritual purpose. So at the Bodhi Tree, you could see some people doing prayers, and some people would love to go to the Bodhi Tree after 9. That's their time. To a meditator would prefer to go to the Bodhi Tree for meditation after 9. So that's because very calm and quiet, and also scientific. It's also, I think, so that Bodhi Tree, which is botanically that's Ficus religiosa, right? Ficus tree. It would emit some. Doctor will explain the scientific part of it. So when I go to the Bodhi Tree after 10:09, I would go to Samadhi much quicker. Whereas I have spoken to a lot of people why they come to the Bodhi Tree after 9 o'clock. They said it is after 9 o'clock that a lot of devas come down, so we can ask them for help. So actual nowadays Bodhi Puja, that you go to a Bodhi Tree to perform the pilgrimage to a Bodhi Tree is just to ask the Bodhi Tree for help. Where the actual pilgrimage regarding the Bodhi Tree is to meditate on the Buddha's enlightenment and to make a firm aspiration, adhitthana, that I would one day become like him. I would walk away from samsara like him. And the Bodhi Tree reminds you enlightenment. Today also you brought in a Bodhi Tree, right here, Bodhi sapling. That being said, I'm not going to say anything else again. I will pass the microphone to Venerable Panyasara, and then to Dr. Abhesa, and they will conclude.
Okay, as mentioned, Dr. Mante. So when we talk about spiritual side, so I would like to tell a short story. So it is in Vimanvathu. Okay, so this is after the 2 century after the Buddha passing away. So that spirit King Ajatasattu, I think. So I can remember, maybe. So one of the Upasika went to worship this Buddha's stupa, which Buddha's relics, and so on the way, what happened? Suddenly, he was died. Actually, he was died by Vasupatiya. So calf. So what happened? So that Upasika, after died, he went to Divyaloka.
Heaven.
Heaven. So he went to heaven. So at that time, the heaven that Divyangana, or that deities, so asks her, okay, what did you do to come here? So she explained, okay, I was ready to offer flowers to that stupa where the Buddha's relic was established. And so before worship, before offer those flowers, so I was died. So she explained. So this story said. So this story tell us when we go to worship or when we go to sacred places, we must have Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, so faith in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Saddha. Yeah. So with that saddha, with that faith, when we go any place of that sacred place, that is spiritual side, I talk about the spiritual power. So we got the spiritual power actually. Yeah. So one incident I can remember when I went to Sri Lanka with Nepalese people. So one grandmother was, I think, over 90 years old. She was over 90 years old. But she had power, spiritual power to climb Sri Lanka. So after climbing Sri Lanka, so she has nothing. It means, so she got spiritual power from the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha because of belief. So that's why we should saddha in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So we should remember those qualities of the Buddha, qualities of the Dhamma, and the qualities of the Sangha. With those qualities, so we can actually worship any sacred place. So, but it doesn't matter ways how we worship. So it based on tradition. So that is why I want to tell that with Shraddha, so you must pilgrimage, you must visit, or you must worship any sacred place, even any viharas, even any pansalas. So okay, I'm going to give this mic and
I'm sorry, we have been talking. We should have asked questions from you. One thing I want to say is that, as Bhante said, when you climb a mountain and look around, you see how tiny you are. And that makes your ego go down. That helps you with all the development of your mind. So, any questions you want to ask?
I have a question. I fully agree that we have to go to somewhere. When you go somewhere, we have to go with the purification of mind, body, and speech. But nowadays, when you go to these places, especially those 4 places you mentioned, I visited a year ago. With lots of vendors and the other things happening around there. Even before we enter to the site, sometimes we are very stressed. And so I was actually, because we went with a group, so there are so many different personalities in the group. So it was actually burly at the end. But I wanted to do a spiritual.
There is a good way to not to get stressed. Think of them as the Maya, trying to prevent you from getting good thoughts. Actually, you can help people, whatever it is, but not do too much. And don't get stressed and think that these are obstacles against you from doing good things. Nowadays, you can't stop because everything has become a business. Now, when people go, they want to give money to beggars. And there will be people who come with, say, we'll change 100 rupees with 100 1 rupee coins. And luckily for us, we had an Indian guide. He said, don't get deceived. They contain only 80 coins. Because you can't count in a rush. So they make 20 rupees profit out of each bag. Like that, there are a lot of things happening. In fact, next to the back side of the Bodhi Gaya is a Islam village. If you look over the wall, it's a high place, no? That side. And people kill chicken and come and sell them to pilgrims over the wall. So it reminded me of Savatthi, where next to Buddha's Jetavana was a man who was killing pigs. So there are, those things are what are called obstructions to pilgrimage.
Yeah, you can see experience a stampede.
Yeah.
Stampede in pilgrim sites.
Yeah.
The Mara attacked me twice because one, I bought a basket of flowers and there were so many people rushing into the boardroom and everybody has a chance to go in. But one woman came from nowhere and then he hit me, I almost fell and then the flowers got scattered. Then I simply took a deep breath and said, it's the Mara, as doctor said. Then I went to buy another flower and as I was just paying for that, a motorbike came from nowhere and almost hit me and I dropped the flowers again. I thought to myself, oh, the Mara again. Then I grabbed some flowers and went there and meditated. So it's always, you can see a stampede. That's again, see that's the sad part of pilgrim sites. I mean, not only Buddhist places, everywhere, anywhere in the world. That's why I said that in politically correct terms, some people on entering into a pilgrim site, they want to have this festive mode. They want, and they need to hear sounds and people chatting, singing, doing all these things. And I always say to my close friends, this is the only piece of advice I give them. First the pilgrimage, only after, the shopping only after that. Right, yeah. So.
Any other questions?
Any questions? Yeah. And
comment really. Just a comment, I suppose, about comparing, let's say, Roman Catholic pilgrimage to Lourdes in
France.
It's, maybe we can draw a parallel with like armies of puja and public puja. So when we hope for a miracle, we want our loved ones to get better. When we want our loved ones to get better, we go on pilgrimage to Lourdes or anywhere really. And sometimes the miracles do actually happen, but maybe that's more because of the placebo effect. The mind generates a placebo effect.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is because I have a lot of Catholic relations. They always think of Lourdes when they have an illness or some problem. Where they think it's the place to go for miracles. Then the other place is Goa, where they have this Saint Saviour's body supposed to be, and the Turin Shroud. Those three are famous because they think that is the place to go if you want the miracles to happen. Their belief. And it's like Mecca. Once you go to Mecca, you are assured of a place in paradise. So that is what you call the faith. Faith is the most strongest part in that kind of pilgrimage.
Time's up.
Okay. One last question, yeah?
Sorry, very quickly. When you're reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha on pilgrimage or even at home, as you said, watching, or even in the temple, how can we what are the key things that we should remember to try to apply to our own lives and the key qualities that we should prioritize to emulate ourselves?
Well, the main things are the kindness, compassion, and wisdom. Those are the three main things that we must try to develop as much as possible. And when you think of Buddha, they say that Purusha Dhamma Sarathi, he will not let a chance go if he thinks that he can save somebody and make him become enlightened. And he is also teacher for men and gods and everybody, Satta Deva Manusana. The other things are mostly about his attainments. Arahang, Samma Sambuddha, like that. Vijjacharana Sampanna. Sugato. Sugato means that he's done what he has to be done. So what you need to do is to see how much you can help others and how much you can impart what you know to others. Okay, then any more questions? No? Time is up now.
Maybe you can take the Sattva Brahma Viharas to sublime status as well.
Yeah.
To your life.
Yeah, kindness, compassion, all those things. Equanimity is a bit difficult. It's for higher stages. Because always we have this mana comparison in us. So we compare with others. So very difficult to be 100% happy about others' achievements. You can be happy to a certain degree, but I think you have to be fully enlightened to become 100% upekka. I think time is up now. Thank you very much. And
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So from 2 to 3 is our sermon in English. Given the short time, I wouldn't be able to give a bilingual one, and I will lose the focus when I switch between the two languages. To the end of the sermon, I will give a summary in Sinhala as well. First, I will present in English and then give a summary in Sinhala at the end of the sermon. කාල වේලා නැති හින්දා භාෂා දෙකෙන්ම කියන්න වෙලාවක් නැහැ. නමුත් ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කියලා මිනිත්තු 45ක් මිනිත්තු 50ක් තියෙනවා. අවසානයේ සාරාංශයක් දෙන්නම් මේ දේශනාව ගැන සිංහලෙන්. So for this sermon I selected a small sutra from the Tikka Nipata of the Anguttara Nikaya. Tikka Nipata, so the sutta's name is the Authenticated Sutta. Authenticated Sutta. So now this small sutra talks about 3 governing principles. 3 governing principles or 3 principles of personal sovereignty. 3 governing principles. Now Buddha is a teacher, Buddha is someone, a great spiritual leader who has who has encouraged us to use our free will, Satchandata, free will, even in spiritual practice. In the Buddha Dhamma, there are no commandments, there are precepts. Precepts are very different than commandments. A commandment is something you should abide by, whereas precepts are voluntarily undertaken to observe, and they are not mandatory. So that it is up to you to choose the precepts and practice. So Buddha there are no impositions in Buddhist spirituality. And the Buddha's purpose is always to guide you. And almost everyone is familiar with the universal statement that Buddha has made, Akkhataro Tathagata. The Tathagata is simply a guide. Or another translation, Tathagata or the Buddha guides you through. It's up to you to walk the path. He can take you. Like in some religions, like you are taken to heaven. Now you yourself must strive for your liberation. That no one else can do. So as you know, there's another statement that Buddha made in the Dhammapada. Suddhi asuddhi pacchattam nāñamanya visodhe. Your purification is not depend on someone else, depend on another higher power or someone else. Purification is all dependent upon your own reliance, your own dedication, your own sacrifice. So liberation is salvation is our own responsibility. It's not the responsibility of any higher power. So Buddha has given us free will. If you want, you may walk the path. Nowhere had the Buddha said you should walk the path. Nowhere had the Buddha said you must walk the path. Instead, he has said almost everywhere, you may walk the path. It's up to you. Now this Adhipateya, and if I explain the etymology of the word Adhipati, Pati means leader. Pati has 2 meanings, master and husband. Yeah, husband is also Pati. And Pati also means master, leader, who leads a group or a place. Pati. But Adhipati literally means Lord. Adhipati means Lord. Now, so in politics you surrender to your free will to a Lord. in politics.
Yeah.
You kneel down before someone, but there's no such thing. Even before the higher power. So now we simply kneel down before the statue of the Buddha, not to worship it. We bow down before enlightenment. We find it difficult to bend forward. Why? Our body represents mana or pride, ego. Actually, we are bending our ego before enlightenment. That's why we kneel down before the Buddha statue. We are not worshipping it. So, the body represents mana. And you notice that Athina Nagaran Katam. This body is just like a city. Mansa Lohita Lepanam. It is protected by a wall built with flesh and pasted with blood. And then so it's paint, and then so it is protected by again a thick beautiful layer of paint, cemented paint called skin. But within this city is there's only one thing in this city, this well protected city. Mano Makova Ohito. There's pride, there's conceit, there's ego, there's nothing other than that. So that we kneel down before the Buddha means we are not worshipping the persona of the Buddha. Because that's why in English, in any language, you call the Buddha. We never use the particle the before with a given name, with a surname, with a last name, with an individual name, we call the Buddha. The Buddha means a position. Now, but there should be a person who achieves that. So that we kneel down before the statue of the Buddha means we are bending our ego before enlightenment. So that's the meaning of respect to the Buddha statue. Now that's saying, that means otherwise, you don't kneel down before anyone else, but you also pay your respect to Sangha also, and that's the same purpose. Sangha's way of life is way higher than that of lay people, so that they are doing the duty assigned by the Buddha while they work on their own enlightenment. So otherwise, you are your adipati. That's the point I want to make. You are your own adipati. You are your own Lord. So that's adipati means Lord. Now, adipateya means so three. Adipateya means sovereignty or ruling over, governing. Adipati is one who rules, and adipateya means the action of ruling, the action of governing, mastering, or predominant, sovereign. So these three principles that Buddha has taught in this little small sutra is all about three governing principles that would help us develop further, cultivate our character. And this is very important in Dhamma practice. And those three are so Attadipateya, Dhammadipateya, Lokadipateya. And just given the etymology, Atta and Adipateya, Dhamma and Adipateya, Loka and Adipateya. Now there are these three governing principles are based on Atta, Dhamma and Loka. Atta, Dhamma and Loka. Now, Atta means oneself, myself. Now here, Atta Adipateya means self-awareness. self-awareness based on your own freedom as a governing principle. Awareness. But moreover, now attadipati means in acting in a way where you make yourself the governing principle, giving your primacy to your own judgment and conscience over other considerations. You use your own conscience, your own common sense, your own freedom. But Buddha gives a warning sign. Before you use your own judgment, before you use your own conscience, your own freedom, you have to accept the fact that you are not perfect. Your decision may go wrong. So that's why these three governing principles are recommended for those who are in constant Dhamma practice. There should be some progress in your life, because otherwise, when I explained to one of my friends in Chicago many years ago, he said, yeah, I'm Attadipati too. You know what? Every evening I drink like 5-6 beers. I smoke like 5 cigarettes. I go with mistresses. That's my Attadipati. I said, Frank, you are not spiritual at all. Buddha hasn't given you that freedom to you. I mean, just because I said those words, because we are very close. First, you need to have a sense of, you need to be spiritual, so that you can. Otherwise, you are misusing the Buddha's teaching of Attadipati. And he was laughing and he told, no, sorry Bhante, I thought that I have the freedom to do. Yeah, that's a different kind of freedom within spiritual practice. So that first you need to continuously study and review your progress. At times you have to go back on your decisions and see whether you have actually achieved some spiritual progress, whether you are ethically and morally stronger now than before, etc. So Attadipati is using self-awareness as a governing principle, and Buddha has given this freedom. That's when you use your own free will. That's called Attadipati. You are your own Lord. You have the freedom to make decisions, make judgments, but make sure that you are your boundaries. So the limit, you also see to educate and enlighten yourself as to the limitations, as to the boundaries of your actions. So just like otherwise, my friend Frank, it is not his real name, his nickname. That's why I said that name. It's not his nickname is Frank, because he's kind of famous in Chicago. Otherwise, somehow you get into YouTube. Hey Bhante, you talked about me on YouTube. Usually he follows me. Perhaps I might get a phone call. Or I'll call him and say, I talked about you. So now Buddha has given full freedom to his followers. In fact, I just used the wrong word, his followers. Buddha never had his followers. He would never call my followers, my adherents. So we simply follow him. That's when, now his Attadipati is such, he set an ample example. It's not simply ample, it's a perfect example of, free will, by not declaring himself a guru. He never did that. He never declared himself to be a guru. Remember, even when he was a seeker, Satchakavesi, when he was wandering seeker after truth, Satchakavesi. Remember, he joined the congregation of one guru, Sanjaya, right? Sanjaya, very soon, ascetic Siddhartha would win the heart of his guru Sanjaya. Sanjaya was so motivated and so happy with Siddhartha's knowledge, talents, And so he suggested that his group be divided into two, and then Siddhartha take over one group and Sanjay would continue to teach the other group. And with respect, and Siddhartha told Sanjay, sir, that's not my purpose. That's not my purpose. He never wanted to be a guru. And when Buddha was asked on numerous occasions who his teacher was, Buddha simply said, I don't have a guru. But you must have a guru. Yeah, the guru is the Dhamma. What I know is my teacher. And then there was another question. How do you know that what you have realized is true? Your knowledge could be wrong, so that your guru, your invisible guru, that is your own knowledge, could be a wrong guru. And that's what Buddha said. Then that's why Hipasiko, come and see. Come and see and study and see whether it is acceptable to you. If it makes sense, then go with it. Otherwise, I'm not asking you to follow it. So, and that's because Buddha himself set an ample example of an individual's freedom, free will, even in spiritual practice. So that's about Attadipateya. The second one is Dhammadipateya, Dhamma. Now, remember Attadipateya is self-awareness as a governing principle. You need to be aware all the time. Right? I told Frank, he gets drunk. He's not sane. He's insane. How could he govern himself? And he got the point. And Dhammadipateya is the Dhamma as a governing principle. I need to clarify it, Dhammadipateya. Now, Dhamma, what is Dhamma first? Dhamma has over 50 meanings. In Buddha's own words, Dhamma means cause and effect. Yo Dhammang Passati. So Mang Passati, referring to himself. The statement was, Buddha made this statement. Yo Dhammang Passati, so Mang Passati, meaning the Buddha. So yo Dhammang Passati, so Mang Passati, so Buddham Passati. That's what it means. Implies, Man implies Buddha himself. Yo Paticca Samuppadam Passati, so Dhammam Passati. Whosoever sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. Whosoever sees the cause and effect and its action and its function and how it governs our existence, our empirical existence, our own existence and the existence of anything in the natural world, our inner world, etc. To see the Dharma. So, Dhamma means cause and effect. So, Dhammadipateya means cause and effect approach. Cause and effect as a governing principle. Nowadays in business, in medicine, in all economies, in different, you name it, in almost every subject, discipline, cause and effect is approach widely used. Cause and effect approach. Now cause and effect approach is directly related to what is called even the Four Noble Truths. In Four Noble Truths, you start the problem solving by identifying the root cause. Right? So all the Buddha's major teachings are intertwined, they are interconnected. Now in cause and effect, it's called Hetu-Phalavada. Hetu-Phala, Hetu is cause and Phala is result. Now, what is more important, based on when you analyze the effect of the Phala, in problem solving, you need to identify the root cause of the very root cause of the problem, and that is what is done in the in Arya Satya method, meaning Four Noble Truths. It's as a method. It's a method of problem solving. And Tattvarya Satya, the teaching on the Four Noble Truths, and Paticca Samuppada, the teaching on the interdependent origination, which is also called cause and effect, are directly interrelated. When it comes to problem solving, now there is a problem. In a spiritual sense, problem is dukkha or unsatisfactoriness. You can translate you can define it in different terms. Dukkha, because of the complex nature. Encyclopedia Britannica and a lot of dictionaries now, English dictionaries, use the dukkha as an English word. It's a dukkha. Dukkha is an English word. Du is negative. Ka is essenceless, no essence. What about sukha? Su means positive, happy. Ka is essenceless, meaningless. You do something, you are sad, and you end up in more sadness. You become more sad. You are happy, then you land in sadness again. That's why both words end with ka. Su plus du plus ka, su plus ka. Joy has a sad ending. Sad ending has a sad ending anyway. So that's what sukha and dukkha means. Sukha means no meaning and no essence. When you eat too much of your most favorite cake, you suffer, and you never get a piece of that cake. You suffer, and you get that cake on a regular, almost every day. It becomes normal. It doesn't taste anymore. You suffer. So sukha and dukkha, finally, sukha and dukkha are the two sides of the same coin. Sukha. Now, so that there's a problem. The problem is about dukkha. And then, in order to understand the problem, you need to understand what has created the problem. And Buddha would say tanha, craving. Now, so the craving is the root cause of dukkha. Actually, there's another deeper root cause. That is avijja. But avijja is that is the dormant root cause. Functional root cause is tanha. That's why when Buddha explained the function of dukkha, he used the word tanha, craving, thirst. Whereas when he explained the root cause of all the problems, he starts with avijja, ignorance. Avijja is the dormant root cause, and tanha is the functional root cause. You can see tanha, but you can't see avijja. Now, then Buddha would say, okay, tanha, thirst. Tanha, the actual meaning of tanha is thirst. You can easily remember that. And in our Buddhist psychology Thursday classes, we widely discuss these terms. Those who attend those classes will remember those terms. So tanha literally means thirst. Both, you can very easily remember word thirst because both start with T. T for tanha, not the T at 3 o'clock, not T-E-A-T. T for tanha, T for thirst. Tanha for T-E-A, thirst for T-E-A. Later on at 3 o'clock, not now. So now tanha is that's the root cause of the problem. Now there is a problem. The problem is dukkha. What is more important, in order to understand the problem, you need to understand what has created the problem. The root cause is tanha. And then solution needs nibbana or salvation. That is called nirodha. Nibbana, nirodha. But in order to achieve nibbana, now you see the solution at a distance. You know the solution, what the solution is. But you can't just have the solution. You need to have a action plan. The action plan is called, you need to get into action. That is called the Noble Eightfold Path. You need to walk the path. So, again, the Four Noble, actually there are only two truths. The problem and the solution. It becomes four because the problem has another aspect the root cause of the problem. And solution has another aspect, the action plan. Because you need the action to resolve the problem, to achieve the solution. Again, Four Noble Truths also mean the problem and the root cause and effect. And then according to that universal statement that Buddha made, your mampasati, so your dhammam pasati, so mampasati, your paticcasamuppadam pasati, so dhammam pasati. If you want to see the Buddha, see the Dhamma. And if you really want to see the Dharma, understand the Four Noble, the function of cause and effect. So many years ago, actually one of my, I think way back in 1997, I happened to have a retreat for children in Singapore. I lived a couple of years in Singapore. So I was looking for, I didn't have much experience Dhammadut activities overseas. I had just landed in Singapore from Sri Lanka. That was the first country that I visited. I was thinking about a retreat on cause and effect. So I wanted a name for the retreat. I selected the Broken Cup. Broken Cup. That was the title, but it's not the Broken Cup. Open the bracket, write close the bracket, broken cup. So it says broken cup, but at the same place unbroken cup. So that there was no other description. I grabbed a whiteboard and with big letters I wrote within brackets close the bracket, and broken as one word, unpart in parenthesis, and cup. And then all the children were just curious, and they already started talking about that. Yeah, the Bhante says, okay, why he says broken cup and unbroken cup? And one smart child, I just overheard him. I haven't started the retreat yet. It was about Paticcasamuppada, cause and effect, about Dhamma retreat actually, about Dhamma. I really wanted to teach them the Dhamma, because there's no way to teach those 8-9-year-old kids what the vast body of Dhamma. How could I teach them? But the retreat was only 1.5 hours. But I felt compelled to teach the Dhamma, but practically. And that smart girl, and everyone was smart, but that girl was genius. And then he was talking to a boy and said, I think Bhante is going to talk about a cup. Probably it is already broken, but somebody's thinking it's not broken yet. Probably he loves that cup. She got the point. I pretended not to hear that. Right? Pretended not to hear that, and then later, so I want to reward that girl. And when at the start, then I explained the Paticcasamuppada. What I did was I had broken the cup, and there was a staff helping me. So I had a demarcated area that was well guarded with safety. It was like a square. It's just well covered with those plastic sort of cardboard forms. And then it was a cement floor, hard floor. And there was a net also. Before starting the retreat, I just saw a beautiful cup, and I just talk about this cup. I see, and there was a print, beautiful flower. And then I was holding it and showing it to her. Hey, Bhante, it looks like very old but beautiful cup, and said, all of a sudden they were appreciating the cup. I dropped it. Broke the cup into pieces. Everyone was shocked except that girl. Then I asked her to come forward, and then said, then I whispered into her ears, I said, other children, okay kids, I'm going to whisper something to her later. She will disclose it. And then I told, honey, you already got the point. I heard you telling that boy. I heard that, so the kind of retreat that we're going to have here today. And then she was so happy. And then I gave her the microphone, I asked to explain. She explained it. Probably Bhante, and he explained that. And then she also said, remember, and then I grabbed the microphone back and said, you know what, everyone was shocked, but not you. And then she said, yes, I am not shocked because I knew. She was 8.5 or 9 years old. So, and then I asked there were about 20, 25, 26 children. I asked each and every one of them how they felt about the broken cup. And almost everyone said that Bhante shouldn't have broken it. You shouldn't have broken it, Bhante. You should have kept it. I said, I have a lot of cups, but by the way, this cup was already broken. It was, it was stick together with by using Japanese technique. The Japanese people, they put the pieces together, and then they put this artistic line along the patch. So I said, this is already broken cup. I purposely bought this for you from the market. And then, so it lasted, and a lot of children went back after the retreat. I think 17 parents, so I think they came the next day. And they said that my so-and-so, my child, is very different now. Now she doesn't bother me anymore about asking another new pair of shoes. And a lot of change in there within few hours. Because they were able to, those 8, 9 kids were able to apply this Dhammadipatteya, cause and effect approach as a governing principle. So that you have to govern your anger, you have to control your anger, your frustration, etc. And there was one gentleman, he was in his late 70s, and then he came to me like 2 weeks later, and he told me, I learned a big lesson, probably the biggest ever lesson in my life from my grandkid. And she learned that lesson from you. So that I'm 72, I'm 70 plus, but I have still a lot of dreams unfulfilled. I always talk about them, and my wife is angry with me all the time. And then, so it's so angry, sometimes she would tell me, okay, go marry another woman. Go marry another woman, divorce me, and I need to be at peace. You are the troublemaker, okay, go, I'll kick you out and go and marry another woman. Now, thanks to my grandkid, due to that, the cup, whatever that you broke, and she explained to me, but I didn't get that. However, you broke a cup, you smashed a cup, and the children learn a lesson. But we smashed cups and plates, and in our house we could see the plates flying around and all these things close to lunchtime, dinner time. But always we never learn a lesson, but we further go down. Go into the precipice. Yeah. So that's one. So that Grandpa said. So now that is because instead I wanted to explain a scenario to explain this Dhammadipatteya, also cause and effect principle as a governing. Always, whenever you are faced with a problem, immediately think why this problem? Why am I angry? Why did they say that to me? Why didn't they smile with me this morning? They always do that. Don't rush to put the blame on them. Probably you must be at fault. Probably you might have insulted them quite subconsciously, so that it has gone unnoticed, right? So that's Dhammadipatteya. Third one is Lokadipatteya. Loka. Now here Loka, that's a popular definition of Loka. Lujjati, phalujjati iti loko. What breaks into pieces shattered into pieces is the loka. That's the Buddhist definition of loka. Now, loka literally means the world. World. It also means people. In India, the parliament is called Lok Sabha. Sabha means assembly, Lok means people. Assembly of the people. That's India's parliament, Lok Sabha. In Sinhalese, it's called Lokaya, meaning the people, not the world. In Sinhalese, Lokaya monoa nokiyaida. The people are ready to say anything they would like to say about us. That's Lokaya monoa nokiyaida. Loka means the world, the people. It has another meaning. It also implies the society. Here it implies society, the world. So the world is a proliferation of specific people, right? Children's world is a proliferation of children. World of the foolish. The world of fools, the worlds of intellectual, the worlds of spiritual people, etc. It's always the loka implies the people, the society. Now, lokadhipateya here means the accepted social norms and beliefs as a governing principle. Social norms. Now, when you go to certain buildings, certain properties in England, as you enter the property, it says, keep off grass. Keep off grass. And when you go to a church or a temple or a royal palace or everywhere, don't sit on that chair. You are not supposed to use that chair. There are social norms. There are boundaries, and when it comes to society, we have to respect those boundaries. That we respect the boundaries means even though we have full freedom, you cannot use the Athadhipateya approach to overrule Lokadhipateya boundaries. Because we also need to listen to what the people say. Now, Lokadhipateya is one of that is the first governing principle that my grand teacher taught me after my ordination. I got ordained when I was 13 and a half. And he told me, now you are 13 and a half, almost 14. But I never thought that my teacher would crack jokes, because I was scared to look at his face. But he was a very kind person. Out of respect, I wouldn't look at him. In certain cultures, you don't look up. You don't look at certain people. You don't lock eyes. Whereas in Western culture, you are encouraged to lock eyes with your people. Otherwise, it is disrespectful not to avoid their face. Avoid eye contact is disrespectful, especially the police. And I know in America, once I was caught by the police when I wasn't speeding, but I was wobbling. My car was wobbling because I couldn't get some sleep for 2 nights. I was rushing to the LA airport to pick someone, a family who had arrived from Sri Lanka. And then I didn't know that I was so sleepy, and the police stopped me, and then he came to me and said, what's that? The one thing is, so I had difficulty opening my eyes. And he asked me many questions when I look up, and then when I lock my eyes with him, that's when they smile. Okay, there you go. He said, oh, there you go. And that was my first lesson in the Western society, that I must lock my eyes and I must communicate with my eyes. So that's when it comes to, and that's also social norm. That's a social norm in communication that we use. Now, social norms as a governing principle. Now, we have to respect, there are certain cultural values, social values in different society. So then you have to respect them. Although I was going to say to my teacher, he told me, so now you are 13 and a half, and he cracked a joke. Do you have any girlfriend in your school? I said to him, you know what? I said, Bhante, the most beautiful girl, and later she married a politician. She lives in Kandy. I met her at my funeral, I said, because being a 13-year-old boy, I didn't have any feelings or lust or anything. But she was interested in me. And there were 3 boys going after her, and they said, no. She told them, no, only him. Then I shared the story with my grandteacher. She said, no, I wasn't interested in anyone, but that girl by that name, she was interested in me. And then that's when I noticed that he was now ready to give a bigger lesson. You are not going to be 13-year-old forever. You will become a teenager, like 15, 16, 17, and then so that there could be a moment that you will forget yourself, that you are a monk. And when you see a girl and you will approach them, you will start cracking jokes and giggling. You are not supposed to do that. Why? A monk doesn't giggle with a girl. And then you don't get too close to a girl. Then I didn't know that. Then I asked, why, sir? No, that's the monastic norm. So that's one of the first lesson of Lokadipati that he taught me. So the social norms are the governing principle. We have to respect the cultural norms, social norms, values in a society. Sometimes, so I knew one of my brother monks, monastic brothers, and he was very regimental, and once he would even go against the teacher's advice. One day he was talking, he was like 4 years older to me. One day he was talking to a bunch of girls close to the stupa, and there were other women. It was a full moon day. People were observing precepts. The elderly people walking here and there, they started staring at him. And then I approached him and then I told him, Venerable Bhante, because you know the people are watching you. It's okay to talk to them because you are not supposed to giggle with them and sort of, it was not a piece of advice. I wanted to save him. And he simply, okay, get out of here. So then I left. But later, they complained to the teacher. And then he was reprimanded at the evening meditation session. And so somehow he couldn't stay and he left later. So that's when this is a social, there are so many. Some people get frustrated by the fact that why should I respect those boundaries, those are social norms and things. But they block my comfort zone. A lot of people talk about, but actually, regardless of our age, wherever we are, as human beings, we need to respect. We need to learn from, take, social norms as a governing principle, because that will really help me. See, had I not listened to my teacher, and so that following that bad monastic brother's footstep, I started some conversations slowly but steadily. I got into a relationship, right? Then what would have happened, right? So that I would have even left my robe. I never wanted. I will never, but now I am old, right? But there's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee. So that, now what happens was that Lokadipati saved me, even to this date, even tomorrow, maybe not this evening, tomorrow. I should see, I would never complain that the social norms block me. Social norms, take over my comfort zone. I would never say that, because I always respect social norms and things and say, because I always, they are saviors. So the social norms and the governing principle. So, and when it comes to social norms, means acting under the influence of the world or public opinion, prioritizing worldly concerns or social standing. There are social stand, there are public opinion, mostly public opinion. Some people would say, I would never listen to others. But in certain cases, when we are egocentric, we would even disregard a very important piece of advice that comes from our own parents sometimes, right? I always listen to children. Why? I always listen to children, I learn a lot from them. Children are non-political. They don't have agendas when they say something to you. They say that honestly to you. Bante, I know one girl in Canada. She is now 15. So that one day, one evening, I really wanted, it's a windy day in the winter time, I was a little bit sick too, I wanted to go out, and then I heard that nobody would go out in Toronto, harsh winter. It wasn't the social norm, but actually it's the public opinion. Now, Lokadipati also helps you reduce your ego, because you listen to good advice from others. And that girl I was staying in Vietnam, she's a Vietnamese Canadian girl. I was getting ready and I didn't really ignore her, but I didn't hear her. And then she blocked my pathway and said, Bante, no. Now, even today when I make phone call to her, this is how I call, hello. So that's a public opinion. It could be anything, piece of advice. So the piece of advice coming from somebody's lips also amounts to Lokadipatiya. That's part of the Lokadipatiya. Now, of these three governing principles, as Buddha says, now Dhamma must be the first and foremost guiding principle. Why? Dhamma has no persona, it's not governed by any individual. That's why Buddha himself, even though he didn't need to practice any Dhamma anymore, but Buddha also put the Dhamma above himself as a governing principle. Thank you. Sinhalin පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්න ඕනේ මේ මිනිත්තු 7ක් තියෙනවා. There's 7 minutes left. සිංහලෙන් පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්න ඕනේ. අද මේ අංගුත්තර නිකායේ තික නිපාතේ අපි තෝරාගත්තේ මේ පොඩි සූත්‍රයක් එක. ඒ සූත්‍රයේ තියෙනවා මේ තික නිපාතේ කියන්නේ කරුණු තුන තියෙනවානේ. ඒකේ තියෙනවා මේ අධිපතේය කියලා සූත්‍රයක්. ඒ සූත්‍රේ නම අත්තාධිපතේය හැබැයි. ඒකට කියන්නේ මේ තමන් පාලනය කර ගැනීම කරන තමන්ගේ පාලනයේ පැවැත්ම සඳහා දෙන අවවාද තුනක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි අත්තාධිපතේය. තමන්ගේ ප්‍රඥාව තමන්ගේ මතය පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඒක වෙරිෆයි දැනගන්න ඕනේ තමන්ගේ මතය හරිද කියලා හැබැයි. තමන්ගේ සාමාන්‍ය විඥාණය දැනුම අත්දැකීම කියන එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ තමන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාවට. ගවර්නින් ප්‍රින්සිපල් එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ තමන්ගේ සුරක්ෂිතතාව ආරක්ෂාව පිණිස ප්‍රතිපත්තියක්නේ. ඒක සුරක්ෂිතතාව ප්‍රතිපත්තියක්. ඒක ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් විතර තමන්ගේම අදහස් පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි තමන්ගේ අදහස් හැමදේම හරි නෑනේ. ඒ නිසා හැම විටම ඒක හරි අදහසක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. සමහරට ඕක මුලදී ඕක කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා පාඩමක් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා තමන් හරි කියලා ගිහිල්ලා. එතකොට දැනගන්න ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ අත්තාධිපතේයම හරියන්නේ නෑ කියලා. ඒ නිසා තමයි උදාහරණ කරුණු තුනක් දේශනා කරන්නේ. දෙවෙනි එක තමයි ධම්මාධිපතේය. ධම්ම. ඒ කියන්නේ හේතුඵලවාදීව. ප්‍රශ්නනේ අපට හැමදාම තියෙන්නේ. ඔය දුක කියන්නේ ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නේනේ. එතකොට මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳ ගන්නකොට දුකට ප්‍රශ්නයකට හේතුවක් තියෙනවනේ. ඒ හේතුව අපි හොයා ගන්න ඕනේ ඉස්සලා. ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න බෑ හේතුව නොදැන. එතකොට ප්‍රශ්නේ හේතුව දැන ගැනීමට කියලා කියන්නේ පටිච්ච සමුප්පාද න්‍යාය උකට. හේතුඵලවාදී න්‍යාය කියලා උකට කියන්නේ. ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණාම ඒක ඇති කලීමේ ඒක හේතුව හොයලා බලන්න ඕනේ. ගොඩක් තැන්වල හේතු හොයන්න කෑ ගහනවනේ. මම ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කිව්වේ නැහැ. අපේ පන්සල් ළඟ අල්ලපු ගමක් තිබුණා. ඒ ගම කියන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද මේ ඒ ගමට සම්බන්ධව YouTube එක අහගෙන ඉන්නවා මේ වෙලාවේ. මට ලංකාවට යන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. දරුණුයි කට්ටිය ටික. මේ ඉතින් ඒ ගමේ අය ප්‍රශ්න අහවම හැන්දෑවේ පන්සලක දියුල් ගහක් තියෙනවා. ඔය දියුල් ගහ ළඟට ගිහිල්ලා හැන්දෑවට මම නාලා පූජාවට යන්න වෙලාව තියෙනවනේ 2 වෙනකොට නානවා. පිරිවෙන් දවසට නෙමෙයි සම්සුරාදා ඉදට දියුල් ගහ වලට දියුලුත් වැටෙනවා. ඒ අතරතුර වෙලෙන් එහා පැත්තේ වෙල්යායෙන් එහා පැත්තේ රණ්ඩු වෙනවා ඒ කට්ටිය. හැමදාම රණ්ඩුවක්. එක්ක සල්ලි ප්‍රශ්නයකට මොනවාට හරි. ඒ අධ්‍යාපනයත් උකට බලපානවා. ඒ හැම ගෙදරකම වගේ මම මේ පොතක් තියාන ගණන් හැදුවා. දැන් ඒ කාලේ මට ආසයි මනෝවිද්‍යාවට. අවුරුදු 14 දී වගේ. දැන් ප්‍රශ්නේ කොහොමද සාකච්ඡා කරන්නේ? ඒ සිංහලෙන් දාන්න කුණුහරුප තියෙන 12ක් විතරනේ. ඕක 12 රවුම් 5ක් විතර කියනවා. ඒ 5ක් කියලා අනිත් කෙනාට බනිනවා. එතකොට ඒ කෙනත් ඒ ටික කියලා මෙයාට බනිනවා. දෙන්නටම මහන්සිනේ යනවා යන්න. ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරයක් නැහැ. එක දවසක් මම බණට යන්න වුණා ගෙදර. මම තමයි දුප්පත් ගමේ බණට යන්නේ. සමහර අය යන්න කැමති නැහැ. මොකද කට්ටිය මම තමයි ගිහිල්ලා ඕනෑම තැනක යනවනේ. මම හොන්මාතරම ගිහිල්ලා රොඩි ගම්මානම පින්ඩ පාති ගියා. කවුරුත් පින්ඩ පාතේ ගන්න නැහැ. පින්ඩ පාති ගියා රොඩි ගෙවල් වල. ඉතින් ඒතර මේ ගමට මම තමයි බොහෝ විට යන්නේ බණට. ඉතින් මම ගිහින් පස්සේ පොඩි කමටත් එක්ක හැබැයි මට මිනිස්සු ගෞරවේ මොකද දන්නවද? මම කෙලින්ම කියනවා. බණට ගියාමත් ඒ දුප්පත් ගෙදරක පැය දෙකමාරක් විතර කියනවා. මිනිස්සුත් අහගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් මම දවසක් ගිහිල්ලා ඒ ගෙදරට ගියන් පස්සේ මුළුන් බණ්ඩ ගිහිල්ලා කිව්වා බණ පටන් ගන්නකොටම දැන් ගෙදර 100 මං කිව්වා මේ 100 අද බණට ඊ අමුතිත්ත කුණුහරුපෙන් ආච්චිට බැන්නනේ කියලා මම කිව්වා. ඔව් පොඩි හාමුදුරනේ බැන්න තමයි මං කුණුහරුප 8ක් විතර කිව්වේ කලින් වතාවේ 10ක් විතර කිව්වා. හා පොඩි හාමුදුරුවෝ ගණන් තියාගත්තද? ඔව් මම මතක තියාගත්තා. හැබැයි 100 ඔය රවුම් 5යි බනින්නේ. ආච්චිත් බනිනවා. දෙන්නම බීලා ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් ප්‍රශ්නෙට විසඳුමක් නැහැ නේ උතන. දෙන්නම බොනවා. මේ ඒ ගමේ එහෙම දෙගොල්ලම බොනවා උඩ. ඉතින් ඊට පස්සේ මම දවසක් ඔය හොඳ 100න් ඉන්න කියලා පොයට ගෙන්නලා සල්ලි ටිකක් දීලා තමයි සිල් සමාදන් කරන දෙන්නම යොමු කෙරෙව්වේ. එදා දිගටම වෙවුලනවා. වෙවුලනවා මොකටද ඒකට අමෘත පාන්නේ නැතුව. ඊට පස්සේ මම කියලා දුන්නා ඕක. තව දෙන්න එක්කෙනෙක් හරි නොබී ඉන්න කියලා කිව්වා. එක්ක ආච්චි බොනනට 100 බොන්න එපා 100 බොනනට ආච්චි බොන්න එපා. ආච්චි කෙනා මේ මිනිස්සයා කින්දේවල් අහගෙන ඉන්න බැරි ඉන්න මාත් ටිකක් ගන්නවා කිව්වා. ගන්නවා කියන සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ. හැබැයි මම ඒක කියලා දුන්නා පටිච්චසමුප්පාද ගැන. මේ ධම්මාදිපතේ ගැන. හේතු ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳගන්න තියෙන්නේ බීලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ නේ. බීලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. මේ දෙන්න බැරිම දෙකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඔය 100ගේ සල්ලි මට ගෙනත් දෙන්න කුලී වැඩ කළා හොයාගන්නේ මම පරිස්සම් කරලා දෙන්නම්. දුන්නා ඇත්තටම. ඒ කාලේ විදිහ රුපියල් 950ක් වගේ වෙන්න මම මේ 80 ගණන් වල මුලනේ මේ 80 ගණන් වල මැද මම සේව් කරලා දුන්නා. සේව් කරලා දීලා මම ඒ ටික දීලා කිව්වා දැන් මේ සේවිං එක කියන්නේ මේ කෝස් එක. මේක ඉෆෙක්ට් එක තමයි දැන් සල්ලි තියෙනවා 100ට කියලා කිව්වා. ඒක ගන්න දුන්නේ නැහැ ඉල්ලුවා. මම ඔළුව කැහුවා. ඒක පෙන්නනකොටම ඔළුව කැහුවානේ. මං දැන් ඔළුව කහනවකින් අදහස් කරන්නේ බොණ්ඩ යන්න සාමාන්‍යයෙන්. මම දන්න ශ්‍රී ලංකන් බිහේවියර් වල. ඔව් මේ දැක්කම ඔළුව කහනවා නම් ඒ බොණ්ඩ යන්න. ඊට පස්සේ ඉන්දියාවේ මම ඒක දැක්කේ නැහැ. ඉන්දියාවේදී එහෙම යන්න උනහම මොහොම කරනවා. හැම දෙයකටම මොහොම කරන්නේ යමු කියන්නේ. ඉතින් හැබැයි ඒක මම බැංකුව අරන් ගිහලා ඒ කාලේ බැංකුවක දාලා දුන්නා. ලංකා බැංකුවට දාලා හදලා දුන්නා. මම 100ට කියලා දුන්නා මේ ඔය ධම්මාදිපතේ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා. ප්‍රායෝගිකව හේතුව තේරුම් ගන්න. එතකොට සහනයක් එන්නේ කියලා. තුන්වෙනි එක තමයි මේ ලෝකාදිපතේ කියන අනුන් කියන දේවලුත් අපි අහන්න ඕනේ. මොකද අනුන් කියන දේවල් මට අනුන් කියන දේවල් අහන්න වැඩක් නැහැ කියලා සමහරව ආඩම්බරයට ඉන්නවනේ. එහෙමත් නැහැ. මිනිස්සු වැදගත් දේවල් කියනවා. මේ ධම්ම කියලා මෙතනින් අදහස් කරන්නේ මේ ලෝක කියලා කියන්නේ පුද්ගලයෝ කියන එක. ලෝකයා කියන්නේ පුද්ගලයෝ කියන දේවල් අපි අහගන්න ඕනේ. ඒක ධම්මා. ඒක මේ කරුණ තමයි මෙතන අපි මේ සඳහන් කළේ. The time's up. Next is the tea time. I can accommodate one question. I don't think there are questions. No, right? Okay. So thank you. I just really wanted to share these 3 words once again. Atthadipateya. The sutta's name is Atthadipateya. Now, why didn't Buddha call this name the sutta Dhammadipateya? Why didn't he name the sutta Lokadipateya? Atthadipateya is only one of the 3 principles. There's Dhammadipateya, there's Lokadipateya. Buddha called this sutta, named the sutta Atthadipateya because what is primary is your own free will, your own freedom. That's why Buddha calls Atthadipateya sutta. But again, you also need to practice Dhammadipateya and Lokadipateya. But Dhammadipateya is highly recommended by the Buddha because Atthadipateya is based on an individual, yourself, myself. Lokadipateya is based on a group of people, like a society. But the Dhamma is Dhammadipateya doesn't include any people or opinions. It's free from opinions. Thank you. And if you received some knowledge, insight, may those insights help you in your continued Dhamma practice. Thank you.
Verse 40.
Exactly, yeah. Now, verse 40. T40 now. Yeah. T40, T for third, T for tanha. T, T-E-A.